Hey, good evening. Today I am going to be starting to read Edgar Allan Poe Daily, which started a long time ago, back in May, I think, and I've just been really behind with it. And yeah, I am quite excited to catch up, so I thought I'd do a vlog on it and give my thoughts. The first one is the Oval Portrait, which I'm going to read tonight, and then I will give you my thoughts tomorrow. So, the Oval Portrait. I've read Poe before. I think The Raven, The Fall of the House of Usher, Ligeia, and my general opinion has always been I like your premises better than I like your execution. But I was really surprised with this one. It was enjoyable throughout, and I think that's mostly to do with the writing style. It's a kind of simple enough story, but I do like that, we're in a kind of horror situation, but that's not the horror of the story element to it. I did not like, there was a line which is like, she was a young woman just ripening, no, she was a young girl just ripening into womanhood. And like, the thing with Poe is that he is so much more than who he was as a person. Like his writing is so much a part of like the canon and culture, and especially when it comes to like gothic and goths. Um, but that was a very yikes line because of, who he was as a person. But also, it really. Okay, so here's the thing. I used to have like this horror channel that I really loved, and it was mostly movies, but there were also some TV shows, and there was this TV show about a school, I think, in a castle. And during the day, it was human students, and during the night, there were four vampire students. I don't know why, when you have like a whole school, there was only four of them. And one of the guys, I think, was the guy from the Oval Portrait. That was his exact story. And I remember, you know, it played out. His backstory was like this story, and then he fell in love with a human girl who convinced him to paint her, and it kind of played out again, and she was horrified and she ran away, and like I loved that show and I've never been able to find it, which is a very kind of different rant, but yeah, no, I liked it, and I am kind of tormented now by remembering the show that I can't find. um but no, it was a really good start, and I think the next one is The Mask of the Red Death, which, appropriate. Also, I would like to point out the site, because while these are like emails that you get sent to your inbox, if you haven't, like, The Mask of the Red Death was released before I started my subscription to it, so I have to read it on the website. And I want to show you this because I subscribed to another one, um, and when I went to look at the site, it was like white text on a very light green screen, and I don't know how anyone is expected to read that. Um, but I just want to show you the site in case you're worried about that. It is a kind of grey rather than a black. The text is white. I don't know how easy this is for people to read. I assume you can like just copy and paste it. Um, but yeah, I know this can be difficult for people as well. So so this is fueled a little bit by the fact that I'm 158 books behind schedule, and I'm a little cranky about it. I'm annoyed that The Mask of the Red Death isn't like an option in Goodreads in and of itself. Um, like I get why, but it still, would make it easier. I'd had an inkling that I'd read it before, and I definitely recognise it now. The thing that stands out to me the most is that it feels a lot shorter. I said with the oval portrait that excuse me. I said with the oval portrait that I've read a few of his works before and I like his premises more than I like his execution. I don't know what's happened in the interim few years, but I'm not finding his writing style as grating. It was interminable the first time I read The Mask of the Red Death, and I I really didn't feel time pass at all this time. Um, I don't like it's not going to be a favorite or anything. It's a decent story. Um, I'd like to see it as like an animated film or something because I think wow, excuse me, because I think it could be absolutely gorgeous. But like this in this medium, it's alright. And in a hilarious turn of events, I did not like Annabelle Lee. Um, I read that one, I think, when I was like a tween, and it was tragic and romantic, and I loved it. And I didn't like it this time. I found it just really repetitive and also kind of overwrought. Yeah, overwrought in a way that didn't feel like sincere. Like I didn't feel like this was an actual pain. It was just like boring words. So Descent into the Maelstrom was not particularly great in my opinion. It did not need to be that long, I don't think. I just didn't particularly like the narrator's voice, but there was some absolutely stunning descriptions. Um, I did feel a little bad giving it 2 stars considering what other books I've given 2 stars recently, but it didn't feel like a 3-star book to me. Also, I think my favourite thing so far is the poem Alone, which it says it was a poem he wrote um, when he was young and which wasn't published until after his death. And I read that and I thought, oh, that's so sweet. That's like a kid's poem. And I think he was like in his 20s when he wrote it. It could still, have been an early work, I guess. But yeah, I thought it was sweet and easy in a kind of way I guess I just supposed it was done by the hand of like a very competent child. But I did enjoy it. I'm not saying this to be mean. After I read Alone, I realised that I caught up and I was really excited to be able to read these in my email, but that's actually really painful. So I guess I'm going to be stuck with the archive. Also, I'm really excited about this one because of all of all the memes. Um, I hope I like it. I don't know if you know of Brennan Lee Mulligan, but there's this clip, and I think you can find it under I Cannot Win. He isn't like angry, not like vitriolic, but it's one of the funniest things. It's so over the top, over dramatic, bombastic, um, and that is exactly just that rant is exactly what I kind of that voice is what I heard when I started reading The Cask of Amontillado. Which, yes, there were some great horror elements in it, but there was just there's something, I think maybe because it's been memeified so much, and also just like this revenge just seemed to slide into that kind of bombastic vein. All of which is to say that it's my favourite. I know I shouldn't, like, the audience reaction was not intended to be laughing throughout, but I did, and I had so much fun with it, and I love it. I've talked a little bit about my plans for parenthood, um, and I think it really says a lot that I read The Conqueror Worm and thought that is a great poem to make like a little Christmas tradition with reading it with like the kids. I was dreading it because I really hate um Christmas things outside of its allotted time period, which is exclusively within December. But yeah, it was delightful. And I'm really glad I read it. The problem is that the next one is The Fall of the House of Usher, which I think I did read earlier this year. And oh boy. Yeah, that was pretty solidly in my I think I prefer his premises to his execution mindset. Of course, like Poe Dailly, Dracula Daily, I am a little bit more accustomed to this kind of writing style. So maybe it will be better, but this is really one that I've been dreading from the start, really. From the moment I realised this was a thing and I wanted to sign up for it, I have been dreading this.